Welcome to Before It's All Over, where real life lessons come too late, unless you listen now. I'm 79 years old and I need to confess something. My mother died believing I was too busy for her, because my whole life I kept saying one word: later. Later I'll call, later I'll visit, later I'll slow down, later I'll sit and actually listen. And what happened the morning my father called is the moment I'll never forgive myself for. He didn't cry, he didn't shout, he just said one sentence that ended my life the way I knew it: she's gone. But that wasn't even the worst part. After she died, my father handed me her phone, and I heard my own voice. "I can't talk long, Ma. I'll call you later." That was the last thing I ever said to her. I'm not telling you this for sympathy, I'm telling you because when you get old, time stops feeling like something you have. It starts feeling like something you already spent, without checking the price. Right now, I have quiet hours, whole empty afternoons, and in those hours, I replay my life like an old recording. Not the promotions, not the house, not the things I worked so hard to prove. I replay the moments I delayed, the people I made wait, the love I treated like it would always be available. Because later feels harmless when you're young, it feels responsible, it feels like you're managing life. But later isn't a plan. Later is what you say when you think the people you love will always be there. In my 20s and 30s, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was just busy in the way adults are busy, a job that took more than it gave. Bills, repairs, deadlines, stress, and the more pressure I felt, the more I treated my time like it belonged to the world. I wasn't choosing to ignore people, I was choosing what felt urgent. And I believed there would be a calmer season where I'd finally return to everyone properly. I used to say, once things settle down. I said it like life was going to settle down, out of kindness. It never did. My mother would call most evenings, always around the same time. She'd ask if I was eating, sleeping, if my wife was okay. Then she'd talk about little things, neighbours, weather, what she cooked, and I'd answer while doing something else. Mail, numbers, worry. My body was on the phone, but my mind stayed at work. Eventually I would say it, almost automatically: "Ma, I can't talk long. I'm busy. I'll call you later." There was always a pause. Not dramatic, just long enough to make me uncomfortable. Then she'd say, "All right, sweetheart, later." And I never asked her why she sounded more tired each month. I never asked what she needed. I never slowed down enough to hear her. My wife tried too. She didn't fight with me, she didn't threaten. She would just stand in the doorway while I sat at the table with paperwork like it was sacred. She'd say, "The kids are in the living room, come sit with us." And I'd answer without looking up, "In a minute." And I always meant it. But a minute became an hour became another night, and then it became normal. The kids would be laughing, playing, calling my name, and I'd stay at the table convincing myself I was doing it for them. One day, they stopped asking. They didn't stop loving me. They stopped expecting me. And I didn't notice, because the quiet doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives while you're still saying later. The damage wasn't sudden. It collected quietly. A missed school event, a late birthday, a dinner I skipped. I kept telling myself I'd make it up. I kept believing there would be time. And then one day, the word later stopped sounding practical. It started sounding like the last mistake. It was my father who called. My father didn't call often. That's how I knew something was wrong. He said, "Your mother hasn't been feeling well." I asked, "Is it serious?" He didn't sound panicked. He sounded old. He said, "She's tired. She misses you." And I said the sentence that still makes me sick: "I'll come by this weekend." He said, "Okay," and I didn't go. Not because I didn't care. I cared. I just kept sliding her down my calendar like she was an appointment. Like love could be rescheduled forever. Then the early call came. My phone rang in the morning. It was my father again. His voice wasn't loud, it was empty. He said, "She's gone." I sat on the edge of my bed and didn't move. And the first thought that hit me wasn't noble, it was simple. I didn't go last weekend, I told her later. I told her later. When I arrived at their house, everything looked normal. Sunlight through the curtains, the clock ticking, the world refusing to match what I felt. My father sat in his chair, staring forward like someone had unplugged him. Then he stood up slowly, went to the kitchen drawer, and returned with my mother's phone. He placed it in my hand. He didn't accuse me. He didn't yell. He just said, "She kept your messages." That sentence alone made my stomach drop. I opened the phone. There were voicemails, so many. Short ones, some cheerful, some tired. I listened until I found the one that broke me, because it was my voice rushed, my voice distracted. "I can't talk long, Ma. I'll call you later." And then silence. The date on the screen was the night before she died. That was the last sound she ever heard from me. Not "I love you," not "I'm coming tomorrow," just me, promising time that didn't exist. That's when later stopped being a word. It became a wound. After the funeral, life kept moving. That's the part nobody warns you about. The world doesn't pause for your regret. My children grew up. They moved out, and they didn't leave angry. They left used to me. Used to me being present in the house and absent in their lives. Years later, my wife got sick. Slow sickness, the kind that takes small pieces first. Energy, appetite, strength, pride. I became attentive then. Of course I did. I held her hand. I stayed close. I tried to become the man I should have been. But one night she looked at me with a softness that hurt worse than anger and whispered, "You're sweet now." She didn't say it cruelly. She said it like a fact, like a quiet truth, and I understood what she meant. I arrived late. Now I'm 79, and my days are quiet. So quiet that sometimes I hear the refrigerator click on, and it feels like company. I have the time I always wanted. No boss, no deadlines, no meetings. I have later, and it's worthless because the people I kept postponing are gone. That's what can't be fixed. Not the job, not the money, not the stress. Time with the living. You don't get it back. And when it's gone, it's not dramatic. It's permanent. If you're listening to me, I'm not here to tell you how to live. I'm not here to preach at you. I'm only telling you what it feels like when you finally reach for someone and realize you're reaching into air. If there's someone you've been meaning to call, if there's a visit you keep delaying, if there's an apology sitting in your throat, just know this: the last chance looks like a normal day, a normal evening, a normal phone ringing, and then it isn't there anymore. If this meant something to you, comment, "I'll call today," and if you can, tell me who you need to call. Someone reading your comment might need that courage too. I don't have many years left, maybe 10, maybe 2. At my age, you stop pretending you know. But I do know this: my biggest regret wasn't something I did, it was something I delayed until delay became loss. I kept saying later, like time belonged to me. And now I understand. The most dangerous word I ever used wasn't hate, it wasn't anger, it was later. Because one day, without warning, later disappears.